Welcome to the Oakville Public Library's online 3D printing certification course for the Ultimaker 2 3D printer. Today you will learn just how amazing 3D printing is and how you can use it for just about anything, including building models and prototypes or replacement parts for household objects. Some people have even made their own 3D printers. Basically, the sky is the limit. You will also learn what a 3D printer is and how it works, meet the Oakville Public Library's 3D printer, understand the safety requirements surrounding 3D printing, become familiar with Cura splicing software, and discover how to start 3D printing at OPL. What is 3D printing? 3D printing involves a process called additive manufacturing, whereby an object is built by layering material, creating layers one on top of the other. This layering process is referred to as splicing. Meet the Ultimaker 2, our new 3D printer. Ultimaker is an industry standard name in 3D printing technology and offers easy-to-use products and software for beginner users, as well as advanced options and high-quality filament materials for professionals. There are 4 essential parts of the Ultimaker that you need to know: the extruder, the filament, the build plate, and the control dial. We will begin with the filament. Filament is a material which all 3D printed objects are made. The ingredients of filament can vary. However, the Oakville Public Library uses PLA filament. PLA stands for polylactic acid, a biodegradable plastic made of cornstarch. PLA filament is non-toxic, sandable, paintable, and available in a wide range of colors. You can only use Oakville Public Library provided PLA filament. The filament comes on spools and is loaded onto the back of the Ultimaker. The filament is then fed through a tube which ends at the extruder. What is an extruder? Think of the extruder like a hot glue gun. Filament is heated and forced through the end of the extruder. The extruder moves across the build plate, creating the layers of the 3D object. The extruder reaches temperatures of 215 degrees Celsius. However, the filament cools very quickly. The build plate is the surface on which the extruded filament will land and your object will be built. Your object can only be as large as the build plate surface. This plate is carefully calibrated and leveled. Therefore, it is important to never put pressure or lean on it. The Ultimaker 2 has a heated build plate to help provide easy removal for objects from the build plate. This being said, please do not attempt to remove the object on your own. A member of our staff will do this for you. The control dial is located at the bottom right on the face of the printer. This lower area also contains the LED screen and the SD card slot for the printer. Here you will find the display screen with a variety of menu options which can be toggled through using the dial. The main menu option you will use is Print. Here you can access files stored to the SD card. Before we can continue, it is important to discuss the safety requirements when operating the Ultimaker. As mentioned, the extruder reaches temperatures of 215 degrees Celsius, so it is crucial you never touch the extruder when it is heated. In addition, the build plate moves up and down, and the extruder moves across the build plate. These moving parts are delicate and can injure fingers if caught. Do not place your hands inside the build plate area when the printer is operating. Before you can begin printing, you need an object. Thingiverse is a free design community for discovering, making, and sharing 3D printable things. Here you can search and download thousands of different objects to print. These objects have been designed by fellow 3D printers. Think of Thingiverse like Pinterest for printed objects. Thingiverse can be accessed directly from the internet by searching www.thingiverse.com. When you find an object you like in the search results, click on it to be brought to a page with printing instructions and object details. I've already loaded up 2 options for us to look at: a practical phone amplifier and a cute puppy. Let's take a look at the phone amplifier. On this page, you will find images of the object, often final prints and 3D models, instructions for printing, such as infill levels, number of shells, layer heights, and support requirements, the object files to download, comments from other users who have printed the object. This is extremely helpful as it gives you feedback on any design flaws or print issues. Be sure to read the comments before you download the file. And statistics on how many times the object has been printed. Now that you have a sense of 3D printing in general, and the Ultimaker specifically, It's time to learn how to select and manipulate 3D objects using Cura software. Cura software prepares a pre-designed 3D object for printing. It allows you to make small changes to your object, such as scaling. Cura software is free to download from the Ultimaker website. Creating or designing a 3D object for printing is beyond the scope of this certification course. Let's go down to Cura. Welcome! This is a landing page or first screen you will see when you open the Cura software. Let's start by preparing your print file on the build plate. Our object management options include moving, scaling, rotating, and mirroring the file. The object manipulation tools are available in a ribbon running vertically down the left side. These buttons will allow you to move, resize, and manipulate your object. We'll use the practical phone amplifier as an example. To bring it into Cura, click on File, then open your print file. Move objects. This allows you to move the object around the build plate. Press and hold your left mouse button and drag your objects to move. You can also use the additional axis options in the button pop-out. Scale objects. Scaling allows you to resize your object. You can click and hold the left mouse button to drag your object larger and smaller. Or you can use the button pop-out tools to resize by axis. It is important to decide whether you want your object to scale uniformly in all directions. This means when you resize your object, all dimensions will grow or shrink by the same scale. If you deselect the uniform scaling option, then you can change the height, width, and depth of your object independently. Objects are scaled in millimeters. Reset scale will return your object back to the original size when it was first added to the build plate. Rotate objects allows you to move your object into a different position. This means flipping or rotating your object onto another side of the object. This option is important when considering which surface plane of your object you want to be the base when printing. You can rotate the object manually by clicking and holding the left mouse button. Again, you can ensure your object is touching the build plate by selecting Lay Flat. Mirror objects allows you to flip or flop the orientation of the object. When printing at OPL, leave the object on Prepare. Now let's look at the top menu row. You can change the perspective from which you are viewing your object. Click and hold the right mouse button to move around. You can also use the top, side, and front view options. These give you a good idea of your object on the build plate, including how much space your object takes up and if your object is sitting on the build plate. Home view brings you back to the same starting position view of your model and build plate. You can also zoom to toggle in and out from your object. Using the recommended print setup settings. This is recommended for most printing jobs. There's very little to change here, just layer height and infill, which result in quality change and will drastically change the duration of the print. For those of you who need more control with your print, we can use custom settings. These settings include adjusting infill, shells, rafts, and supports. Quality refers to the thickness of the extruded layer. The thinner the filament layer, or higher quality, the firmer and stronger your object will be. Your object will have a smoother surface, but take longer to print. A lower quality will print faster, but have a rougher surface and feel less dense. Layer height is directly related to quality. Here you can edit the layer height by millimeters. Shell refers to the thickness of the printed outlines of the object. The thicker the shell, the firmer the object, the heavier the weight, and the longer the print time. Also, if your model requires sanding after printing, it's not a bad idea to make the shell thicker than the default. Next we have infill. Think of infill like a honeycomb structure inside your object that acts as an internal support system. The intricate design inside ensures external pressure is displaced through these supports, and not simply on the shells. The infill can be loose or tight depending on your needs. A higher infill percentage results in a firmer, stronger object and a longer print time. A lower infill percentage results in a weaker object and a faster print time. Skipping down to support. Imagine printing a human body standing up with one arm stretched out. As a 3D printer extrudes filament in layers, starting at your feet and working up, each layer has the previous one to support it. However, when you reach the outstretched arm, there's no previous layer below it for the filament to sit on. As a result, the filament falls or sags, and your print will be unsuccessful. In order to avoid this, you add supports, like scaffolding on a building, to hold up the arm. Supports are thin columns that hold up an overhang. They do not affect the final look of your object, since they easily break off when finished. Build plate adhesion, or brim. The brim acts as a base for your object and many support structures, and ensures that everything adheres well to the build plate. The brim will be easily removable once you take your finished object off the build plate. All objects must be printed with a brim. You're almost ready to print. Let's click on Prepare. This allows the user to get an estimate of how long the object will take to print and how much material the print will use. We now have an option to save file. Exporting allows the user to save their work either externally onto an SD card, computer folder, USB flash drive, or other storage type. If you have an SD card inserted, you will also see an option to save file to SD card. The Ultimaker uses SD cards to collect print files. You will need to bring your file into the library on an SD card ready for printing. A note on object files. There are two main extensions that are compatible with OPL's Ultimaker. They are .obj and .stl. Now that you have all the skills and knowledge to use the Ultimaker 2 printer and Cura software, you've probably started thinking about what you want to print. You can print just about anything. However, you absolutely can't print weapons, sexually explicit material, or any other materials that violate the library's policies or the R-Zone policy of the town of Oakville. Printing costs are based on printing time. More information is available at your local branch. Now that you have completed this certification course, you are on your way to 3D printing at OPL. Please ensure that you have an active Oakville Public Library card. Then sign and return your 3D printing waiver form to any OPL branch. Contact your local branch to book a time to print, and a staff member will help you get started. You have lots of opportunity to explore, learn, and get creative with 3D printing at Oakville Public Library. For more in-depth instruction, Oakville Public Library offers 3D modeling classes. You can visit www.opl.on.ca or your local branch for more information.